So, welcome back to the All Things Strongman Podcast. This is episode 2. If you've not listened to episode 1 with Connor Curran, that should be up on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, whenever you listen to your podcasts. And it should be on YouTube now, if I've managed to get around to editing it and putting it up there and figuring out how that works. Still learning this process. But we have another very, very special guest on episode 2. He is the current Ultimate Strongman, England's strongest man, which is a mouthful. He finished third at England's strongest man. He finished fourth at OSG Europe in 2023. He is the Immortal Grip Wars champion, the Gods of Grip champion. The list goes on and on with this guy, and I'm sure there'll be many more accolades to come in the coming years. But it is, of course, Paddy Haynes. How are you doing, pal?
Afternoon, buddy. How are you? I think that's the nicest intro I've ever been given.
Well, I thought I'd get all the accolades in there as much as I could. And that
You've done well. You've
really,
done well.
it's just running through last year, basically, which is was a bit of a crazy one.
Yeah, I really sort of. Well, I've been competing for a while, but came out of nowhere. I think for a lot of people last year. So good to finally get to where I want to be, and yeah, I mean, just had the best season I could have asked for, really.
Yeah, absolutely. When you listen to those results that I've just reeled off, and I mean, that's the tip of the iceberg, I'm sure, for you of where you want to be as well.
Yeah, yeah. So 24's we've got some plans, but just get out there as much as I can. Just get competing. I'm not afraid to compete often. And just see what comes up. Really, just ride the wave. But I've not got much booked in at the minute. Obviously, we've got Brits coming up and UK's later in the year. But other than that, the diary's sort of open. So let's hope for some big invitations and some fun competitions. Really.
Yeah, I hope a few promoters are listening to that. Paddy's up for competing. If you want him, he's available. I'm sure there'll be a few guys, probably from maybe the SCL guys, which I'm sure you'd probably
Yeah.
enjoy competing at. There's obviously other competitions in and around the world, which I'm sure your name will be getting touted around as a potential invite sooner rather than later. Um, but we'll just talk about last year. Going into sort of when you sat there in January, sort of planning out your year, what was the whole target for 2023?
Yeah. So I again, I don't really set unrealistic expectations for myself. Like I'm not one of these guys that goes into a season thinking I'm going to go in and win every show. It's never been me. It was sort of just get out there, do every qualifier I could. I qualified for OSG, I qualified for both England's, and then this new sort of pathway for Giants, the England strongest man, that came up, and I thought, if I can get to England's, that'd be a great end to the year. Um, and then obviously England's went even better than I was hoping. But that was sort of the main focus. Just get qualified and get on sort of the rung of the ladder below where I've managed to get to was the goal. So getting to Brits is just crazy. But I wasn't like setting out like this year I'm going to qualify for Giants Live, for example. It was just see how I get on and just get better really for me. Just get better at everything.
Yeah, I mean that England strongest man obviously finishing third behind Luke and Kane. That was quite a stacked lineup for what is essentially a national show, which
Yeah.
obviously it was an official strongman show, not quite a Giants Live, but it was run alongside Britain's Strongest Woman. Being in and around that competition and being in and around that level of competition, obviously, I mean, Paul Smith has been a regular at Giants Live shows. He didn't make it onto the podium. You've got Matt Felix and a lot of other up and coming guys in and around England. Being in and around that show, how did you feel kind of going into it, looking at that lineup?
Yeah, it's still sort of surreal to me, but I think the main thing for me is I never felt out of place. I'd earned to be there. Like I just felt like I belonged there. It's really hard to describe, but like I just felt, it was probably the most stacked competition I've had to date. But it didn't really phase me. Like at the end of the day, like I was still going to go and do everything I can. Um, I don't think anyone probably tipped me for the podium other than family and friends. So again, like this dark horse sort of persona that I've got, it suits me quite well because I go in. Um, and as well, like I'm always my goal is to be the friendly face of strongman. Like I went, I have fun. I've made so many friends through it, and I'm competing, which is what I want to be doing. Like I've got that drive, but I can switch it on. I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. You see guys there like stomping around backstage. It's like I'll never be one of those guys. Like you got to enjoy it. That's why you're doing it, you know. But it 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 just felt right. It felt like this is what I've been working towards, doing shows like this in front of crowds. And I'm normally quite a shy and reserved guy, but those sort of arenas I just thrive and I just feed off the energy.
That's great to hear, and it's a great mentality to have to go out and enjoy it. Just as you say, why else do you do it if you don't
Mm.
enjoy what you're doing? You put in a
It's too brutal of a sport
yeah,
to do for fun.
yeah.
As fun as it is, like to just rely on results, like you've got to just enjoy yourself. Otherwise, you know that it's why everyone does it at the end of the day.
If you don't enjoy it, why do you get up and go and do 3-4 hours in the gym every day? It's
Mm.
not
Yeah, exactly.
it's not a fun thing to go and do. There's much better ways to spend your time. So enjoying it is definitely a way to go.
But
Obviously,
and other end of that is though, like I'm not going there to say like as long as I have fun, like
yeah,
my mother would
yeah,
tell me, like oh, I'm going to win, but like
yeah,
I'm going to enjoy myself more than anyone else there.
yeah. You're going to make an account of yourself and do the best you can as well,
100%. Yeah,
which
yeah.
absolutely you did. And now obviously you've earned your way up to that Giants Live show and Britain's Strongest Man, which
Mm.
is absolutely amazing. And we'll dive straight into that competition, which is coming up in less than 3 weeks now. How has the preparation gone? How's your mind going into it? Obviously, it's a
Yeah. So yeah, like you about to say there, it's a huge step up for me,
yeah,
but it's it's gone as well as I could have asked. Really, I feel stronger than I've ever felt. I feel heavier than I've ever felt, which for me is a big thing. I normally sit about 120. I'm over 130 now. Again, not trying to give anything away, but like I just feel good. And again, it's a win-win situation for me really because I'm going to go get my name out there, experience the Giants live, compete against a lot of the guys I already know and I've already met.
yeah,
Um, and I'm under no illusion that like I'm not saying I'm going to go there and win, but I'm going to go and get amongst it. I'm going to mix the points up,
yeah.
and I'm going to enjoy every damn second of it.
Yeah, which it'll be very interesting because this lineup, I'm sure a lot of people will agree, is the strongest lineup for Brits,
Mm.
if not in a long time ever. Because you've got obviously guys like at the top of the game, like obviously Tom Stoltman's two-time world strongest man speaks for himself. You've got Luke there. You've got guys like Luke Stoltman and Luke Richardson, who have won big competitions before. And then the guys, I mean, I can rattle through the whole 14 lineup, and it just
Mm.
the amount of accolades between you guys is absolutely unbelievable. How do you feel being in and around that level of talent?
It's again, it's like it's taken a lot convincing myself, like getting over imposter syndrome and everything like that. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I've qualified to be there. I may not on paper be the strongest man there, but I'm under no illusion that I deserve to be there and fight against the best. And I've just literally like achieved what I wanted to achieve in the end. Now I'm in a position where I can just compare myself to the best, see what I need to work on. Obviously, no secret that overhead isn't my favorite, but if I'm hanging on everything else, I mean, there's four very good events from in there. Um, Even though people are calling this one of the heaviest giant shows of all time, um, I'm still going to be there to mix things up, and I've just got no apprehension at all, if that makes sense. I'm just going in all guns blazing, nothing to lose. Hopefully, win over the crowd, make everyone happy and proud that are coming with me, and that's all I can do.
I'm sure you'll definitely win over the crowd. No, you're great. You'll be a great fans' favorite in no time, I'm sure. You talk
Yeah.
about the weights of the Britain's Strongest Man. Obviously, that first event, a 400 kilo. You obviously got the choice of the 360 or the 400 kilo
Yeah.
deadlift, which is it's been run at certain other shows. This choice based
Mhm.
event, I think it's the first time ever at a Giants Live that it's been run. What do you feel? How do you feel going into that? And what do you think of the whole concept of these choice events?
I mean, I do quite like it. It does add. I think anything that adds strategy is usually quite good. Like, um, it it relies less on just raw brute force, and you actually have to sort of think like, let's be clever here. But again, the goal is to not touch the 360 bar. A full 400 before. So for me, sort of my head is now that we're going to go and double it or triple it. And if I can do that again, be buzzing. Again, I don't think a lot of people see that coming either from me, but my deadlift's a bit of a funny one. So the first rep will always look, especially in a suit, first rep will always look a little bit ugly, and then I have this ability to just re-brace, and just after that, I've got a bigger gas tank than anyone else there, I guarantee, like coming from the marathons and stuff. Like I just have this endurance, and it shone through at England's. Like no one thought I was going to win the deadlift there. Trouble for me is it just tails off that little bit quicker. So when it gets heavier, it's going to stand out. Whereas if it was for some reason something like 320 for reps, I'd back myself to be right up there. But it's that sort of top end strength that's my limit at the minute. But yeah, it's interesting. I like the Giants have also given us the option. So once you've burnt out the 400, you can go back down to 360 as well, which isn't normally the case.
No.
It's normally like you pick one bar or the other. So it just adds a layer of excitement, really.
That'll be very interesting to see, because obviously there's a few of you that will probably lift three reps, I'd say, at 400. It'll be how much is left in the gas tank to go and lift another 3-4 reps of this 360 kilo bar, if that's even possible for you guys.
I was going to say, knowing my body, I think when I'm burnt out from 400, I won't be able to move 360 either. But differs from guy to guy. But that's my view. Like, just go and try not to waste too much energy as well at the end of the day. Like, if a rep on 360 gets me 3 or 4 points, then it's totally worth it. But if it's to get another point, say, just get me out of the suit as quick as possible.
Let me breathe.
Yeah, exactly. But, that's my mentality.
Yeah, there's a few events that I can see being extremely close at Britain's Strongest Man. Bag toss is one of them sort of events. I've seen so many of the competitors like yourself putting little training videos up. I know you've got a nice branded little bar, your Haynes strength bar for the bag toss. I know I messaged you about that, saying great branding, perfect. I've always got to appreciate a little bit of branding on there. But another event that I've seen a lot of you posted about, I think it was the other day, there was kind of a big, for lack of a better term, a dick swinging contest between you all. Who could one motion the heaviest stone? Obviously,
it's Luke Richardson started it, but I'm just so like that, and I know Kane is as well. Kane just had the advantage. He went to the gym an hour after I did, so the bastard. But no, fair play to Kane, man. That's a crazy lift.
It is. It seems like as soon as Tom Stoltman did it at World Tour Finals, suddenly everybody can one motion a 200 kilo stone, and it's like, what?
Yeah, it's old news now, isn't it? But
it's like,
what I will say is, to do it in a run like Tom, that is pretty next level. And I'm under no illusion that I'm rivaling Tom on stones. Like, I don't want to go and say that, but stones has always been my favorite. Like, I think it's the most strongman thing possible. So yeah, that's and as well, like I said before, like my endurance through shows is pretty good as well, even with the speed Giants run at. So even if my spine's hanging out, my muscles will still be fairly fresh. So that normally I get better as the comp goes on. So sort of I'd say stones should be good for me. But then every bloke there's unreal at stones, so it's just another catch-22. But
it is. I feel like
one of my favourites.
There's a lot of guys that can really mix it in and amongst each other, and will be taking points off each other throughout that competition. I think it might just come down to who makes the least mistakes, really, throughout the evening.
Yeah, and it's like any comp, isn't it? Like, consistency is going to pay off, but I don't think anyone, I don't think even Tom, I don't think no one's going to go there and win every event, because you've just got specialists now. We're sort of in the era of specialists where someone's a freak at bag throw, like Shane, for example. Like I'd bet on Shane if I didn't want to lose my money. But again, for these guys that are trying to get on the podium as opposed to Tom who's just trying to be consistent, like they're going to take more risks. Whereas like you saw I think it was last Brits, Tom just made sure of every bag and got second. Whereas like Shane really went for it and did one of the best bag runs I've ever seen. So
yeah,
it's risk free reward. But us sort of, I think me, Luke, Rich, and Shane are all very good throwers, and we're just going to go out all guns blazing because you've got to take a few risks, and it'll be whoever delivers on the day best.
Absolutely. You mentioned a little bit earlier about the speed of a Giants live show. It's always one thing that kind of comes up when people talk about their first time competing at a Giants live show of, wow, it's a fast event. It didn't expect it to be that quick. You'll have had a little bit of experience, obviously, with the England Strongest Man being run like a Giants live show. Do you think that little bit of experience in that competition will help you kind of manage the speed in sort of your first Giants live?
Yeah, it will, but also it's just that's the way I train. Like, always has been. Like, I train fast, I train heavy. Like, my coach is brilliant, John. We didn't prep for, a lot of guys will do a strongman event session on Saturday and they're there for 4 hours. And for me, it's like I'm just going. I just train hard and fast, and it's like you're not going to have these rests on comp day. And I'm pretty switched on, especially on comp day. So for like where we had England's, we had log straight into deadlifts. Obviously, I didn't do my best performance on the log, so I was out near the front. Whilst a lot of the guys sort of stood, well, I'm recovering really, but watching the log carry on, I knew like it's not going to make a difference. I'm going to be out early. And me and Ben Glasgow was had the best warm up on deadlifts. Just it was just like just get through it, and that's it's what it's going to be like at Giants. I know it's fast. We're prepared for it. It's not going to catch me out. It's the same for everyone. Like, just get on with it, really. But it's how we've trained for it. So, yeah, I'm pretty. It makes me laugh when people get to these shows and they're like, "Oh, the pace really throws you off." It's like, yeah, but we know this.
Yeah,
it's very well documented that Giants run a very efficient show, so it's not an excuse.
And it's not like these guys won't have watched a Giants live show, either live or on live stream. So, or I mean, even you get a sense of how quick it is just from the TV show. I know it's a condensed version, but
it's just why that excuse doesn't hold up for me. Like, if you're caught out by the pace of the show, you haven't done your homework. That's my. But I mean, it's an easy excuse, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like, for when I'm knackered after 4 events, it might be out like.
when I talk to you after the event, after the comp, you'll be like, "Wow, it was really quick. I'm going to bring this back up."
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Well, just to kind of wrap up the talk on Britain's Strongest Man, I'm gonna ask you. I know you were like, I don't really want to talk too much about myself. Any hopes and kind of how are you wanting to kind of perform? Any kind of inkling of where do you think you'll finish, or I've got to ask.
So my only goal is to get a PB on every event. 1 rep on an axle will be a PB. Anything more than 1 on deadlift. It's a very boring answer, but if I perform how I expect myself to perform, I should fall mid-table. That's what I'm hoping. Like top 5, I'd be ecstatic. And then if I'm anywhere near the podium, I'll be buzzing. But that's the expectation I have of myself to finish in the top half. And I think I should be, as long as I do well on my good events and sort of damage limitation on axle, we're fine. But even that, like, we're going in. Axle's probably the best overhead event I could have asked for. So it really isn't a bad set of events for me. But yeah, to give a fairly boring answer, mid-pack, like I say, that's sort of when I've done the maths and worked out, if I come where I come. But I'm not going in saying I'm going to win this, I'm going to win that, because the standard's too good to throw accusations like that around.
Yeah. So I'm going to take it back to sort of away from strongman. A little thing I found out. Mr. Paddy Haynes, you have a master's in forensic accounting.
Yeah, that's a bit niche, isn't it?
It's very niche. When I was doing a little bit of Googling and finding out, maybe doing me a little bit of prep, I thought I'd best research you before I come and talk to you.
So, so yeah, I've always been academic, but we sort of, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So a few guys in my family, like my uncles, are accountants, so it seemed like a good, they were good. Like they're doing well, they've got nice houses and families.
Yeah,
So I was like, okay, we can go into that, and no expectation. But really, like university for me was just about figuring myself out. Really, like obviously, I'd never stepped foot in a gym until university. Um, I was still running twice a day like a absolute madman. And the degree, whilst it was fine, I got a good job afterwards and everything, but it didn't take me long to realize, like, sat at a desk commuting, like, it suits.
yeah,
It's not for me, not for me at all. Like, so it was a bit of a hard sell to my family that, it makes sense for me to step away from my pretty good job and
yeah.
focus on lifting rocks in the garage. But it's starting to pay off. So that's my background, yeah, my degree and everything. But it was more sort of I don't know what to do, so I'm going to go to uni. But uni was still the best 4 years of my life. Like just one crazy blur, but I met some great people as well. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
yeah. I just thought it was something interesting that I thought.
Yeah, I bet there's not many other forensic accountants in the world of strongman, but there you go.
No,
Like,
I found out that Connor Curran's got a degree in law and Spanish, which I
oh,
thought
that's
interesting combo.
that's niche.
Yes, yeah. So if anything, this podcast is giving me a chance to learn about the very interesting degrees and very unexpected degrees that you guys seem to have and hold.
Master's degrees are just for people that can't let go of uni, really.
Yeah.
So it was yeah, it was good. And again, it's one of those things. It's on the CV. It's never going to go. It looks great, but am I going to use it now? We'll see.
Maybe
Probably not.
it's a good fallback if anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So another big part of sort of your development as a strongman, I'm sure, and development as a strength athlete is um, your fascination and skills in grip.
Mm,
You seem like
who knew?
you're very in with trying different grip events. Obviously, I believe you've just recently earned yourself a world record.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
It sort of came from nowhere, really, the grit stuff. Like, obviously, I've always had a good grip. I've brought up on a farm. If you ever have the opportunity to see my father's hands, I implore you do, because they are something of a legend around where we are, just enormous hands, and I've sort of inherited the shovels. But yeah, I sort of landed on my feet with the grip stuff because I naturally had a good grip and I've never had to worry about it. So I sort of assumed that was the norm. And then, as I got to these competitions and you see guys struggling and you think, um, I've never struggled with my grip and I've never really given it training. This is at this point. So, like, I wonder what I can do if I do start training grip. And as I sort of trained it, I was sort of helping other people out with their grips and stuff. And it's sort of one thing fell to another, really. But now it's sort of become my goal to just know everything there is about grip, help people with forearm issues, anything like that, and just really build a niche for myself with my coaching as well. Obviously, I keep a little team of guys I do strongman coaching for as well, which are all brilliant. But the grip stuff's really just come on recently. And Shane from MST as well has been brilliant and really opened it up. And that's sort of launched it forwards, really. So now I'm working with some of the best guys building grip strength, it's just really cool. But it was never, I never set out to have the best grip strength, if that makes sense. I just wanted it to be good so I never had to worry about it for strongman.
yeah, definitely. I'm sure it definitely helps with the certain events on strongman. I mean, everybody keeps going on about. Oh, everybody goes on about Matt Felix, obviously the king of
Yeah,
grip,
yeah.
and his abilities. Obviously records in Hercules hold, until recently the Wrecking Ball hold. Obviously, Kevin Fair's taking that off him at the World's Strongest Nation. Are these sorts of events that you'd maybe look at if they're ever at a competition you'd like to try and come and test yourself against those sort of records that
Yeah,
Felix has?
absolutely. Like that if Giants put an event like that in, I would be over the moon. Like my favorite sort of events are still like farmers. Like I'd love just a heavy set of farmers. Um, but even people don't like realize, but like even with shield carries and stuff like that, like I got the Ultimates record on the shield carry, just having the wrist strength strong enough to sort of lock it in when you're just holding smooth concrete, like it all plays in, and just having like bulletproof hands is just a hack in strongman. But like, just train grip, guys, please. It will help everything.
Yeah. So you're putting down your super grip down to obviously your family owned farm, I believe it is.
Yeah, yeah,
What would it,
purely farm genetics.
yeah, what would it like growing up on a farm?
So, yeah, so we grew up. We never had because we rent the farm, so it's not like we own this lovely farm in the Cotswolds. Like it's all so we rent this farm, lovely, lovely place. Never had loads of money, but I just always had like the richest childhood.
Mm.
My friends would always come to the farm to play. I never had a games console or anything like that. Didn't have a phone until I was, I don't know, in secondary school. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I never felt hard done by. I was just outside all the time, working, helping. There was never an option because it was just you and dad basically. So if something needed moving, I needed to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Stacking trailers of hay, all this like from a young age. So it's farmers are just unpaid strongmen. I swear. Like I still maintain my father was one of the strongest people I've ever met, and he, never stepped foot in the gym once in his life. Um, but it's just genuinely the best childhood you could ask for growing up on a farm. Like you just got so much space. And that's why I ran so much because we didn't have a sheepdog, so I'd be the one running around the sheep and like, yeah, just bliss. I'm a proper country bumpkin, but yeah, wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I'm sure that working on a farm, obviously being up and around with your dad, it's instilled a very good work ethic in
Mm.
yourself, and I'm sure that's why you've gone on to academically succeed, but then obviously now physically as an athlete, you're succeeding because that's been instilled in you since a very young age.
Mm. Yeah, and like I say, like we weren't. It's not a big enough farm that we have staff or anything like that. So we get home from school, and then if there's an emergency, you go and fix it. And yeah, just always been that way from a young age, and it 100% does install a good work ethic. Like, he's mid 60s now. He's still up at 7 every day, going to bed at 9. And it's just like it's crazy what these like this generation do. And there's just no alternative because it's like this is their life.
Well, yeah, yeah. Nobody else is going to get up and do it for him, I suppose. So
Yeah,
he's,
exactly that. But it also has been like so he was very supportive of my running. It would be my dad that took me to races every weekend. And now we've sort of when the horses left, we converted the old stables to a gym, which has just kept expanding and being relocated. But and he's always been very supportive. If we need a bit of equipment, we build it. As very typical farmers. So like we have I've got a standard throwing set up on the barn, but when Giants came around and it's actually over 4.6 meters, which I don't think people realize like how high it's near enough your house.
yeah,
It is
it's
crazy
very
high.
high.
And we're just scratching our heads thinking, how are we going to do this? So yeah, we've now got an adjustable throwing frame on the back of a John Deere, which is mint. And it's just stuff like that. Like it's this instinct of like, have we got it? No. Can we afford to buy it? No. Let's build it. Do you know what I mean? Like we've got some scrap metal lying around. Like how hard can it be?
Yeah. You mentioned your running and obviously your other endeavours, maybe as a younger Paddy Haynes. Did you ever get to any sort of high level where you're running, or was it just sort of for
Yeah.
fun?
No, the running was pretty serious. It was up until university. Well, and through university. So I was like, I led the athletics club. I'm sorting this cat out. I'm sorry. I was I was in charge of the athletics club the whole time I was at uni, and um, That was my passion before running. I was hopeless at sport in school. I was a waste of time on a football pitch, so the PE teacher would just say, "Go for a run." um, and I really wanted to be a runner, but I sort of hit my ceiling at university, and I turned up. I was 18. I'm just under 6'4", and I was about 68 kilos wet through. So I was an absolute rake.
Yeah.
And I moved in at university with these two guys, did a bit of bodybuilding. So I started going to the gym with them, and it sort of took off from there. But and as I slowly got heavier, I got worse at running. But
Yeah.
I ran a double marathon. I did that when I was about 88 kilos.
Wow.
And then I've ran 6 or 7 marathons, national cross country, stuff like that. But I certainly was a runner. Like Mitch Hooper's the first to admit that he was a guy that ran a marathon. He wasn't a marathon runner, whereas that was my passion at the time, which soon turned on its head.
Nice. Well, a very interesting background is that, and it seems like a lot of people are crossing over from different sports into sort of strongman now, which is nice to see. It's nice to see that sort of switch. Looking at your other sort of events, then other competitions from last year, I just want to kind of talk about those, especially you mentioned OSG Europe's. The fight back that you had to kind of do in that sort of weekend is incredible. Obviously, you zeroed the first event with a log. You mentioned your troubles with the overhead, but then the fight back that you kind of put on in the next sort of 2 and a bit days, in the next sort of 5 events, incredible to then finish fourth.
Oh yeah, it was wild, and a point off third as well.
Yeah.
I was that was a real turning point in my career. I think that comp, because it had been so easy after day one. I zeroed the log, and then the yoke was 420, which was far ahead than I'd ever done. I think I came 6th or 7th in that. So an absolute stinker day one. I was stone dead last. That's just suicide jumped off the table. So then, but even on the day, like I'd sort of prepared myself for that. Like worst case scenario, I don't get the log because it was heavy for me at the time. And I know people sort of have me down as a great yoker, but I've never been brilliant at yoke. I'm great at farmers, but yoke I've not struggled. I'm very quick up to about 360, 380, and then as soon as you're over that 400 mark, it all gets a bit wobbly. But
Yeah.
so I sort of prepared myself for it. It was the worst case scenario, really. So I wasn't sort of shook. I wasn't embarrassed. I was like, that's my day one. We were sort of expecting it. Day two and day three are 4 of the best events you could ask for. So let's just see what I can do. And it's just exactly the same. It's just another thing I've had installed in me. Never give up. Just fight back harder. And just don't stop until the final bell's rung. And like any comp, I think the majority of my points have come from the last 2 events. I don't think I've been beaten on a last event for a long time because it's either stones or power stairs, and they're both phenomenal for me. So that seems to happen a lot in comps, and I've sort of got used to, okay, I didn't do great on overhead, or I hadn't done great on this, so I'm going to go out sooner. And then I damn nearly won 3 events out of 6. So I think I was 0.02 off of Oscar on the sandbag medley, which, fair play to the bloke. He's an absolute freak of an athlete. So yeah, I was very, very proud of, especially that day 3, just a perfect storm.
Yeah, I remember watching kind of from the sidelines. Obviously, I'd heard your name mentioned a lot in and around the scene. Obviously, we're quite excited to see how you're going to go. And that day 3 were incredible. The fight back and obviously winning those 2 events. To be fair, it was a strong field in itself. Oscar Zielkowski, Andre Feucht, who's obviously gone on to perform at Giants Live and he's been announced at Europe's Strongest Man. Adam Ruskowski is obviously another talented Polish athlete. But then I'm going to rattle off names. Ryan Bennett was there. He's openly admitted he was disappointed in his performance, but he was England's strongest man in 2022. So he's finishing fourth in that field is no detriment to yourself and nothing against yourself at all. So I feel like you did well.
That was another one where I sort of I had Ryan as a target. I can't lie. I've always got Flynn as a target because me and him have just had so many rivalries. So I was thinking to myself, like, if I beat those two, and obviously Tom Place as well, like,
yeah,
I mean, what a static monster that bloke is.
Yeah.
So I was sort of thinking, where it's a heavier comp, if I'm beating those three guys, like, that's putting me as one of the best guys in England. And you can't control what the European guys do because you just can't read them. Like,
no,
they played me like a fiddle on the deadlift. I'm not sure how much you want to go into it, but like Oscar was warming up with 280 and hitching it, like making it look really hard.
yeah.
And then he just tears through this deadlift medley, pulls 360 mixed with it. So yeah, it's just like just these things you just learn. You just pick up strategies and like another thing he did on the log, like in the warm-ups, he loaded the log and then just sat next to it and watched everyone else warm up. And it was such a weird environment. But yeah, it's all these mind games go on that you don't even think about. But I'm pretty good at not being sucked into that sort of thing. Like I'm just too like I think I annoy people because like my first England's where who won it? Ben Williams? Did Ben win? And then Kane, I can't remember. But in a fit expert. Oh no, it was when Ryan Bennett won.
Yeah.
And everyone was just like so switched on, and I was just skipping around the arena, like laughing, like. And then when the time comes, I'll switch the flip the switch, sorry, and I'm gone. But like, I just have this like, you can't get in my head because there's nothing going on there anyway.
Well, it's not a bad thing to have, is it?
Exactly.
Looking sort of further ahead then into 2024, you mentioned it earlier, you've got UK Strongest Man coming up. Obviously, being Ultimate Strongman's England's strongest man automatically qualified you for that. So that, I believe, is around May time, I want to say.
Early June, I think.
Early June. So it's down in Cardiff. I know that this year. They've moved it from Nottingham. It's down in Cardiff this year. Are you looking to go down, lay a marker down and win that? Obviously, Paul Smith's the two-time reigning UK strongest man. He'll have the big target on his back for everybody to go and beat. How are you feeling ahead of that competition and your goals for that competition?
Yeah, so Ultimates England's like really like I didn't go into that thinking I was going to win, to be fair, because I hadn't trained for it. Because it was around other comps, and it was like, I'll go. It's a great chance of publicity. And yeah, had a really good day. So the troubles with UKs is there's more events, so there's more they can throw at you. So it entirely depends on events. There's a good amount of events that Paul, for example, won't be able to touch me on. And there's a lot of events that I can't touch Paul on. So you've also got guys like Cal Crozier going, who is just terrifyingly strong at the minute. But UKs will be very different to Brits in my mentality. Like Brits is just a learning curve, get some publicity and just prove myself. Whereas UKs, I'll be going with that trophy in mind, 100%.
Yeah, which is great. Just before, we've got a couple more questions, but I just want to bring up the little bit of publicity you've had recently. Landing yourself on Sport Bible, I believe, or LadBible, one of the two.
Well, both, yeah.
Both, and it's gone absolutely crazy. You flipping a car.
Yeah, I know. This is another thing, right? Like, so these people that say like you shouldn't compete, I can't attack me, do apologize. All the time, like it's absolute rubbish because I went there because this car flip was in. I'm also great friends with the guys at Barbell Division who hosted it. They support my competition, so I was doing my bit, helping those guys out. And also got to train compete with a load of my good friends as well. So it was good fun. But yeah, I don't think anyone saw it coming. Like it's just blown up. It's absolutely crazy. It's gone wild on. It first went wild on Facebook, so it got about 2 million views, which is. I say that like as if it's nothing now, but at the time, like my video's got a few thousand here and there. And I was like, oh, strange. Maybe it's just this Facebook I barely use Facebook. I don't think many of us do now. Like my posts sort of go on there from Instagram. Um, and then it slowly started taking off on Instagram, and then it just got huge. It sort of went from about 7,000 followers to about I think about 16,000 now. Like
Wow.
since that video went out, and it's all credit to that one video. Like, but I don't know. I don't have an answer for people saying like, "Oh, what did you do?" Like, I just posted a video exactly the same as all my other ones, and something was clearly right about it. I think the controversy, to be honest.
Yeah, which a lot of people seem to have. I see there were a lot of people supporting. I feel like there's also been a lot of people questioning it and jumping on the back of it and trying to almost put the achievement of flipping a car down a little bit.
Exactly. Like if you read these comments and let them get to you, this is another Paddy life lesson. Like, just learn to laugh at these things, because like they're you guarantee they live in their mum's basement and they've never lifted a dumbbell in their lives. Like, just laugh it off, because me and my friends, they'll always show me the funniest ones, and it's like, like there's people out there, like, they're going to read this. Like, if it was their post, it would really get them down and see why social media can be this bad thing. But for me, and like, I think it annoys my family, like my mum, more than me. And it's like, mum, they don't know what they're talking about. But it's just the way it's had 1,000 people comment the same thing that confuses me. Like, you think like they just see, oh, someone else has covered this, I probably don't need to tell them there's no engine in it. But we all laugh about it, and it's like it's the comments that have driven it. So at the end of the day, they're doing me a favor.
Exactly.
Let them crack on, because it's no sort of skin off my back. But the latest is it's sort of caught on YouTube now, because I put it up on YouTube. It got a few views, but that's just blown up overnight as well. So it's got about 35 million on YouTube now.
Wow.
And it's gained me a load of subscribers on YouTube. So it's all, there's no bad press and all that. It's all good press, but you've just got to learn to laugh at yourself every now and then and be like, yeah, I didn't ask for it, but it's not a bad thing. It's going to help me in the long run. And
Definitely.
it's just wild, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I was going crazy. Does that mean we'll see a few more YouTube videos from yourself?
Yes, yeah. So basically, this last couple of months, I've just been so busy, obviously, with a heightened workload with coaching, which is brilliant. It's what I want to be doing. I'm very happy and everything. So it's just taking the back seat, but I've sort of got the equipment ready to go and stuff. Getting Brits out of the way, I think, because it's such a balance. Because for me, like, taking a camera into my training and then worrying about making a video for other people, it's not right at this point. Like, I need to focus on. I couldn't willingly go to Brits knowing that I could have trained harder, but I was trying to get a tripod set up. Again, I've come from a farm. I'm not very technical. I'm not technology gifted. So it's just, I'm throwing everything into this Brits prep. So once Brits is out of the way, my life will calm down a bit, and we'll see if we can just put some fun videos together. I think that's the secret to a successful YouTube, is like, training videos are great, but they have an expiry date, because it's only so interesting.
Yeah. One thing that we're kind of both involved in is we are both sponsors of a Britain's Strongest Man under 120 kilo for 2024. Saw your logo there. It's the first thing I've ever sponsored with All Things Strongman. Definitely wanted to support Ben Joyce and Dale and the efforts that they go to put in on that competition. It's definitely a division that needs a lot more love. It's, I believe, a division that you finish, or a competition you finished, was it third in 2021?
The first ever, yeah.
First ever. I saw Dale put the picture up today, a very skinny looking Paddy Haynes there in third place with his little trophy.
A great story as well. Dale was meant to have someone from Ireland competing, because obviously it was Britain. So, and then when they pulled out, decided that I would then represent Ireland because my name's Paddy. So this is where this sort of jokes come from. It's why I'm in a green t-shirt and that. And I love Dale to bits. He's brilliant. But that's sort of stuck with me as well. That I get a load of people saying representing Ireland. I think Giants even put it on the website very shortly before it was corrected. And like, it's just another thing that I just laugh at. But yeah, I've got Dale to thank for that one.
Yeah, I have heard that story. I think I put something up, I think around when I was doing a bit of spotlight on the athletes doing OSG Europe's. Dale and Ben both kind of put something up about, oh, wrong flag, he's Irish. And then
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
think Dale sent me a voice note just saying, oh, it's a in joke with us. Just
But
basically explaining.
the end of the day, like everyone, you see it all the time in videos. Like strong men say, I just want to do my bit to grow the sport. Like, how much more can you grow the sport and introduce a whole new weight category?
Yeah.
So I just think fair play to them. Like, I wish them all the best. I've got so many pals doing the 120s. I could probably still get there myself if I had a
No.
bit of help from my nutritionist. But for me, like I just struggle to hold weight, so I need to focus on getting bigger and bigger. But I just think it's awesome what they're doing, and when the opportunity came up just to help them out, those guys have both helped me countless times. Ben still does the scoring for my competition, so easy decision.
Yeah, and same reasoning for me doing it as well. I've got to know Ben, obviously working with Giants Live. I've not had the pleasure of meeting Dale yet. Feel like our paths have just not crossed for many reasons. But I'm sure I will in the future. But it just the work that those guys put into that competition, and as you say, growing a whole new division for guys. And I think it's the perfect weight class to bridge that gap between 105s and opens, because it can be a bit of a big jump, especially when you've got guys walking around at sort of 160, 170 kilos.
Yeah.
At the top
Especially
end.
now as well, where the depth of just talent is crazy.
Yeah,
Like
it's unbelievable.
if you're coming through the ranks, like don't get me wrong, there's no harm in just jumping in and getting comp experience, but it's not like these 120s are going to be an easier path than the opens, to be honest, because the level of the athletes doing it.
Incredible.
You've got the best 105s in the country, which now don't even need to cut, so
Yeah.
they're going to be even stronger than they would be at 105. And then you've got just some crazy athletes that I've competed against a number of times, and it looks just as stacked as any opens comp I've seen. So
It
yeah,
does.
that's a fair play to them.
Absolutely. So just to wrap things up, we'll let you go in a little bit, but I just want to talk about your aspirations for the next year or so, maybe looking further ahead. Where are you wanting to get to in your strongman journey?
So again, I've never been one to set goals set goals, but not say, I want to do this, I want to
Yeah.
win this. My goal is to do everything I can at Brits and then feel it out, get used to it, so that next year I'll be on the podium, qualify for Worlds 2025, get my first Worlds under my belt, and then basically just keep getting better across the board, turn into a freak with no weaknesses. And I've got goals outside of training as well. Like I want to get a gym together in Oxfordshire, and then obviously personal life as well. But for the time being, just keep getting better. Just see where it takes me on this wild path, and hopefully all the lovely people listening will keep supporting me and see where we get to.
I'm sure they will. And just to reiterate what we said at the beginning of the podcast, Paddy's available for any strongman shows if any promoters are listening. He's willing to compete.
I've got my bags packed.
Yeah, he's ready to go. Short notice, it's fine. No, but I'm sure you'll have a fantastic 2024. I look forward to meeting you in person at Brits. I will be there on the day. So it'd be nice to actually see you in person and say hello. But thank you to everybody for taking the time out for listening to this podcast. Any final message, Paddy?
No, just go out, be strong as you can, and use code Paddy10.
Hey, got to get the plug in there. But yes, thank you for jumping on, Paddy, and thank you to everybody for listening to this podcast.
My pleasure, dude. All the best, guys.